Today's video is going to be it's going to be a little harder for me to talk about, and it's not going to be all cheery and stuff because of what we're going to be talking about. I want to talk about mental health, and I know that there's a huge push for mental health right now, which is such a great initiative, but I think that people still need to get it in their head that mental health is something that is actually extremely common, and as I was in the university setting, you could see that people were changing, and that the stresses and stuff like that from exams and like all this stuff was starting to get to them. It's something that happens in a lot of people, and something that's partly genetic as well as your environmental factors. It's not their own fault, it's just kind of the circumstances that they've been ascribed to. My first experience with mental health was last year, about like mid to end of September. Something happened and I kind of fell into this bout of anxiety and kind of like depression. I was so scared when I first went through that. I was terrified. I didn't want to like label myself as this because I know that as soon as that happens, you can't change that. And for a lot of people, that's really hard. I've never experienced a panic attack, so when I did that time, it was only about 10 minutes and I felt awful. You know when you're kind of daydreaming and you feel like you're just numb and you feel like you're displaced. You don't belong in the body you're in right now. And panic attacks are completely different for everyone and anyone. And I told my friends about it and stuff, and my one friend, she's gone through stuff like this, so she was giving me advice. I'm so grateful because it made me realize that it's just something that is a part of you that is not your fault. It was a really, really hard couple weeks for me. I didn't want to go to school. I lost about 10 pounds those 2 weeks that were happening, and I just felt like my life was different and that every success I wanted in my life couldn't happen because of this. So I went through some pretty bad stuff. For me, the best way of kind of coping with what I was going through was to talk about it. For me, I'm a very open communicator. I like knowing what's going on in people's lives, and I like them knowing what's going on in my life. I don't think that you should keep secrets. I don't think that you should be ashamed of things. Yeah, I started talking to my friends about it, and they were really helpful, but a lot of it is internalized. It's you thinking about it a little too much and you kind of interpreting this as the end of the world when it's really not. I felt like a switch flipped in me that told me things were different. And it took me a really long time for me to realize that it's just a part of me. It got really bad for me. I couldn't sleep. I didn't want to be alone. There were certain things that kind of triggered me. I was watching a TV show and I was there was just so much hate and there was so much sadness in my head that I couldn't even watch that show. And it was a comedy show too. My panic attacks got longer and longer, so it went from 10 minutes to 3 hours to 10 hours, and it got to the point where I couldn't tell if my panic attacks were, if I was constantly going through them or that I had gone through it and gone out of it. To me, those two worlds were kind of blending together, and that scared the crap out of me. I don't like not having that control of, pursuing my own destiny or pursuing my own future. For me, that's one of the biggest things, that I don't like knowing that I won't be successful in the future or I won't be happy, because everyone has agency. Everyone has the capacity to make their life better for themselves if that's what they want. My panic attacks got really, really drawn out. I just felt so numb inside. I felt like the world was so evil and I felt very catatonic. For me, that's the best way of describing it. One day my panic attacks got really bad. This was quite late at night. Once again, I'm so thankful for my friends for being there, because I could not have gone through it as fast as I did without them. I told my friends, I want to go to the hospital. I want to go to the psychiatric ward. And I was paranoid. I was so afraid that they were gonna leave me there and brand me as something who had mental health implications. Personally, I didn't find that helped me a lot because I felt like I was just repeating the story over and over again. I wanted to get through it on my own terms, and that's how I did. When I admitted myself to the psychiatric ward, it was like a 3-hour wait. It was absolutely brutal. I'm so thankful my friend was like right there with me. I got a general psychiatrist, and I told them everything, and like I told them what I was feeling, what kind of thoughts were overwhelming me to feel this way. I'll be honest, I didn't feel like it helped a lot as soon as I got there. I was in denial that this was happening, and I was so terrified of going to the hospital because I went to the hospital not because I was hurting myself or in any way. I just felt like I needed someone professionally to tell me that what I was feeling was valid. And I think that's what a lot of it was. I was doubting my own reality, and I was doubting my capabilities as a human being. This was finally a part of me. I didn't want to admit that. I was horrified to admit that, I'll be honest. And for those of you who are considering antidepressants or take antidepressants, it's not something to be ashamed of. I know I still kind of have that notion in my head, but that's not how it should be. And it doesn't make you weaker or anything, that's just something that helps you cope. So I had a really great conversation with one of my friends in university. She was going through something the very similar thing to what I was going through. She said that you kind of forget a lot about who you are, and that's true. And she was telling me, take this as the best opportunity. Everything just seems so different to you. And she said, take this as a learning opportunity, having the start of a fresh, clean slate. You getting better is not trying to get back to who you were before all this happened. You getting better for yourself is accepting this and you realizing that this is only a part of you and that it will get better. And that conversation really helped me because I felt so alone. I felt like no one could ever relate to what I was going through at all. It's really comforting to know that there are people out there in the world, you might be going through this, that feel the same way that I do. My biggest advice to you guys is to have good support networks and not keep this to yourself. Make sure you just have someone there. Now I feel a lot better. And I'm going through my own stuff right now, but all I wanted to say is that if this helps just one person help understand about what mental health is, I'm so happy. I don't wish this experience happened to me, but I think I've grown a lot as a person. Your feelings are valid, and it gets better. And it takes a lot of you finding yourself and you adapting to your circumstances. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope it helped, and if you ever have any questions about stuff like this, feel free to let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So, bye.